Welcome back, seekers of whispers and guardians of the glittering truth. This is Secrets Behind the Stars, where we don't just skim headlines, we lift the velvet curtain and listen to what the spotlight tries to hide. In this arena, the story of love can be a cathedral one day and a house of cards the next, and tonight we stand before a twist that has every gossip page biting its lip. The names at the heart of this storm? Cenk and Mahassine. When the rumor mill had practically written a eulogy for their romance, a single photograph crashed the funeral and made the flowers bloom again. Before we dive, show your love, subscribe, ring the bell so the truth taps your screen first, hit like if you breathe drama with elegance, and, if you want to become a true producer of what we do, that join button is right there waiting for you. Let's get to the spark that set the conversation ablaze. For weeks, the narrative around Cenk and Mahassine was bleak, an operatic chorus of farewell. Even the most faithful admirers were bracing for the final bow. Then, with the suddenness of a whispered secret, an image materialized and reset the tempo of the entire symphony. Not a statement, not a press release, not a carefully scripted interview, no. Just a snapshot that breathed life into a story everyone else was trying to bury. And with that frame, hearts skipped, pulses quickened, and the internet asked the only question that matters: were we wrong all along? Their story blossomed under hot lights and camera angles that made fiction feel like memory. A wildly successful project placed them side by side, where banter turned to rumors and rumors found a foothold in the soft spaces between frames. Urban legends claimed that the on-screen spark didn't end at the final cut, that it hopped the fence into reality and built a warm little house there. From that moment, every glance, every silence, every pause in a red carpet answer became a clue. Fans dissected it. Headlines magnified it. The story grew, fed by adoration and curiosity in equal measure. Then came the hush. Stories ran dry, sightings thinned into rumors, and the digital air around them turned to glass. Their social media accounts went quiet toward each other, no playful comments, no soft acknowledgements, no couple selfies to feed the midnight scrolls. The vultures of gossip circled and swooped. A few outlets declared, with theatrical certainty, that the romance was done, finished, final, irreversible. People nodded in weary resignation. So it goes, they said. Famous love doesn't like to last. But just as those last words were being etched into the stone, the unexpected happened. The picture surfaced. Photographs can lie, but they can also sing. This one did. It didn't scream or pose or cling to a staged glamour, it breathed. The air around Cenk and Mahassine felt unforced, light with that specific kind of ease you can't counterfeit. The posture, the natural tilt of a smile, the warmth in the eyes, everything suggested a tender, private rhythm that isn't learned on set. If you listened closely, you could almost hear relief in the comments. Body language watchers chimed in with practiced calm. This, they said, wasn't a negotiation or a performance. This was comfort. This was familiarity. This was the soft, steady glow of something that had not shattered at all. What followed was a wave of careful interpretation. The more sober corners of the gossip world proposed what many couples in the limelight eventually learn: sometimes, survival means silence. The consensus began to form that Cenk and Mahassine had chosen to shelter the tender heart of their bond from the drafty windows of public attention. That the noise had grown too loud, the spotlight too white-hot, and so they pulled the curtains on purpose. Not as an ending, but as a preservation. If you've ever loved deeply in a glass house, you know that sometimes the bravest move is to step back from the window and turn out the lights. Insiders whispered things that, in retrospect, seem almost obvious. There had been no apocalyptic fight, no scorched earth finale. Work loomed. Schedules collided. Deals demanded discretion, travel brought distance, and the delicate balance of careers on the rise made coordination a luxury. Their disappearance from the usual circuits of being seen wasn't the echo of a breakup. It was the shape of two focused professionals steering through a particularly crowded stretch of life, side by side but out of frame. The fandom, feverish and divided, did what fandoms do. One camp unfurled victory banners, insisting they'd never doubted the bond. The skeptics, loyal to the aches of past disappointments, counseled caution. Maybe the picture was old, they argued. Maybe it was a leftover from another season. Maybe it was an optical illusion, a trick of warmth and posture and nostalgia. The comments sections turned into soft battlegrounds of hope and hurt, love and logic, and yet a quiet majority began to settle on a new conviction: the obituary for this romance had been premature. Silence remains the couple's visible policy, and that silence is its own message. It doesn't bow to pressure, it doesn't feed the hungry beast. And yet, with the image settling into the culture like a pebble rippling a still lake, new questions unfurled. Would this be a lone glimpse in a long desert, or the first wave of a return? Would they dare the public space again, or keep choosing the calm of a carefully guarded life? Those are questions only time can answer, and for now, we are all simply leaning forward, hoping to be there when the curtain lifts a little more. After that loving proof of life radiated through timelines, another thread took hold. It said that their recent invisibility had a pragmatic spine. Mahassine, according to murmurs you can almost trust, is neck-deep in filming and in conversations that could define her professional path for years. Cenk, always strategic about reinvention, is mapping a new artistic phase with the patience of a chess player. When you step into rooms that can alter your trajectory, you don't bring noise. You bring focus. The pact, it seems, was to protect their relationship by keeping it out of the storyline of their careers, to prevent headlines from eclipsing craft. Of course, they are human. They have had their sharp moments, their miscommunications, their private storms. But the cataclysm many predicted never arrived. Distance, in their case, looked more like discipline. When you're building something you want to keep, you sometimes refuse the urge to display it. That photograph, unguarded, light with shared ease, supports the idea that what some called an ending was actually a boundary, a line drawn carefully in protection of what matters. The reaction to the photo was a tidal release. Trends ignited, tears flowed in comments that read like little prayers answered. The cynics paused, the faithful exhaled. There was a chorus ready with a deeply reasonable plea: let them have their privacy. Not because fans don't care, but because that's the point, they do. They want the story to thrive, to endure, to glow where cameras can't ruin it. Some asked for a clear statement to put the rumors to bed once and for all, while others respected the elegance of silence. After all, not every truth needs a microphone. This relationship has always sailed waters that shift from calm to storm in a breath. It has had its soaring highs, its quiet lulls, and its complicated rumors that get louder in the empty spaces. Through it all, Cenk and Mahassine have chosen dignity over debate. They have let the wind pass without turning to chase every leaf in it. That restraint has now come to feel like maturity, a mutual vow to keep their private lives from becoming public theater. They learned, perhaps sooner than most, that love does not owe us an explanation. With the photo gently humming in the background of the week, curiosity has bloomed again. Is this the beginning of an era where we see more of them in the sun? Or was this a rare overlap, captured by a lens that didn't ask permission? Some whisper that we'll glimpse them again, soon, by chance or by choice. Others say the leak was convenient, not accidental, a soft way to pour oil on the water and whisper to the storm to quiet down. In this ecosystem, both variations can be true. That's the trick of living publicly while trying to hold anything sacred. Another thought, gathering weight, is the idea of rules, boundaries they have set for themselves and for the world that watches. It makes sense. Fame magnifies and distorts, and every step of a popular pairing becomes a Rorschach test for millions. Perhaps they decided to draw a map with fewer public landmarks, to travel roads without signposts. And perhaps the photograph is only a reminder that the journey is ongoing, that the car hasn't stopped, only rolled down a side street where cameras don't usually follow. Trustworthy voices insist that the line between them never snapped. Even during the quietest nights, the thread held. Conversations continued. Decisions were made together, even if the world didn't hear the echoes. In light of the photograph, what looked like a void can now be read as strategy. The industry, ever fluent in subtext, has interpreted the image as a confident refusal to be managed by speculation. It is the kind of answer that does not speak, yet leaves no doubt. Recently, when asked, both have worn discretion like a well-tailored coat. No coy smiles, no winks, just that poised choice to not let private ground become public parade. There's alignment in that discipline, a peace in the shared decision to live the story on their terms. Look again at the photo. The ease, the unplanned grace, the unpretentious joy. If there had been a crisis severe enough to end it, the edges would show. But they don't. What you see instead is the sweet normalcy of two people comfortable in their orbit, their quiet gravity undisturbed. So here we are, dear Secrets Behind the Stars family, standing with a picture that might be worth 1,000 loud headlines and 100 urgent think pieces. It tells us that love isn't always loud and that the most convincing arguments are sometimes whispered with a glance. Now, you tell me, is this the undeniable proof of a bond that weathers storms with poise, or is it a clever pause, a way to buy time while the press catches its breath? Which other pairs from the world you adore should we examine with the same careful love? We are listening. Write to us as if your words could add a stanza to this story, because in this community, they often do. Remember, your support keeps this channel brave and independent. Like this video if your heart beats for stories that glow in the dark, share it with those who deserve to hear the quiet truths, and consider clicking join to unlock exclusive content, deeper dives, and the kind of behind-the-scenes warmth that only our inner circle receives. Subscribe and switch on notifications, because in the world of Cenk and Mahassine Marabet, the next chapter could be a sunrise away. Until we meet again, take care of your hearts, keep your faith in what feels real, and, of course, stay close to Secrets Behind the Stars.